Let's talk about the upcoming level 1 exam. Which one, right? There are 5 open exams right now. There are 5 possibilities. The July exam and the August exam, these windows are closed. Nobody can register for them, but there are a number of people who are registered for July and August already. November, there's a lot registered for November, and you can still register for November if CFA is something that you want to pursue. July 20th is your deadline here. I don't know that I would make, if you really want to do this, I don't know that I would make a run for November. What I've done here is I've mapped out when the level 1 exam is, when you can, if you pass this, when you can possibly write level 2, and if you pass that, when you can possibly write level 3. Look at this. No matter where you start, whether you start in November, whether you start in February of 2022 or May of 2022, the earliest, assuming you pass level 1 and you pass level 2, the earliest that you can get to level 3 is May 2023, no matter which pathway you take. So I would take the pathway that gives me just the right amount of days. 321, that's way too many for level 1. You'll get distracted, you'll get bored, you'll leave the content for weeks on end. It's going to be hard to maintain a schedule for 321 days. 230 is nice. 139 starts to get tight, considering that the last 4 weeks before the exam is not really a learning period. It's a review and consolidation period. So you really only have about 15 weeks to get 57 some readings in. So you're doing about 4 readings a week. You know, a little less than 2 days per reading, move on to the next. A little less than 2 days, move on to the next. That's a wicked pace. I would look at February, the February exam window. And for all of them, I've mapped out, you know, this is assuming that you pass level 1 and you pass level 2 when your earliest exam date for level 3 is. For the July exam, you can make a run for February. Same with August, you can make a run for February, but November can't, which means that you're set up, both the July and August candidates are set up for November. Look at this, between the level 2 and the level 3 exam. That's a nice number of days. That's more than doable. And between the level 1 and level 2 exam for the July candidates, you have 209 days, 175 for the August session. My recommendation, if this is something that you want to do, I would not wait the 42 or 43 days for the results to be released. I would pick up a section of level 2 and start preparing for level 2 that way. So by the time the results are out, maybe you're 1 or 2 sections already complete. Equity at level 2 seems like a nice place to start because it has it's the longest section. And since this is for February of 2022, the 2022 content is up on our site, so you can pick one section, the equity section. If you are registered for November, keep your eye on the calendar here. 139 days. You know, it may seem like a long time away. We're in June, but the days have a way of slipping away on you, especially when you're having fun. And summers can be fun, right? Take off 28 days for review. That's 111 days, which is roughly about 16 weeks, 57 readings. So again, you're about 4 readings on average, about 4 readings per week. Some of them can be challenging. Some of them are fairly easy. So, you know, you've got to be your own keeper on this one. There's no regular class schedule. There's no grades for attendance. No one's gonna report you if you don't show up or do something. You're your own gatekeeper on this one. So pay attention to that calendar. If you pass in November, you have a nice 275-day run to prepare for your level 2, and then a nice 267 days to prepare for level 3. Those are nice, relaxed windows. Gives you plenty of time to prepare for level 2 and 3. You know, the excuse of I just didn't have enough time is not going to be a factor based on the timing. It may be a personal factor because you didn't manage your time well, but you know, come on. If this is something you want to do and you haven't registered yet, well, you know, July 20th is the registration window that you have to meet. If you have a business degree undergrad with a concentration in finance, I don't know that level 1 will be too difficult for you. A lot of it will probably be review. You're probably set up nicely. If you come from a different background, then I'd probably look at the February exam, 230 days. And again, you can't get to level 3 any faster. Somebody who says, well, I'm going to make a run for level 1 in November, and you say, well, I'll wait till February. Guess what? You're going to see each other in the same place at the same time when you do level 3, assuming you pass all 3 levels. You have a better opportunity to pass here because you have more days, 230 days. Yeah, it's a little shorter for level 2. You get more days over here for level 2, a little shorter here, but you still have the same amount of days for level 3. And then, of course, there is a May window for 2022 that's open, 321 days. It doesn't help you, either way, doesn't help you very much with level 2. You still have the same amount of days, 6 months. You just have more time for level 1, which I don't think you need. And then it shortens you up for level 3, though, only 176 days if you want to get to May of 2023. You don't do May, you're all the way to November of 2023. So just, giving you an idea of progression. If you haven't signed up for level 1, yeah, you have a choice between November, February, and May. And I think February makes a lot of sense. All right, let's look at each of these exam windows and see what I have to say about that. All right, let's start with the July window. And this really applies to the August window as well. You're so close, 44 days. If you take off 28 days for review, you really have 16 days to wrap things up and to finish whatever readings are left unfinished and head into the review. For the July window, you are very heavy into the review period at this point. This 18 days is to July 17th. You can add the number of days on depending on where your date is. And a good sort of work routine in your review window, mock exams. You're going to want to do some mock exams because you're going to want to see how well you can answer that many questions in that given time frame. And listen, the motivation sometimes is, when you get into an exam and the clock starts ticking away, there's this sense of urgency that you've got to beat the clock. So you tend to attack the exam very quickly. You look at the first question, you say, okay, I got to get these answered, move on to the next. Get it answered, move on to the next. And you end up doing something that you shouldn't be doing, which is reading faster than you normally would because you think you're going to run out of time. Every question is written to be read at normal pace. And if you know the answer, to be answered at normal pace while reading all 3 options. Or if you have to solve something on the calculator, you're not going to have a series of 15 calculations to do to get to an answer. You're not going to be given 10 numbers of X and 10 numbers of Y and asked to calculate the correlation between X and Y by first calculating the mean, then the standard deviation. You're not going to be given anything like that. It'll all be formula driven. You'll have to remember your formulas. Maybe you have to put together 2 numbers to create the variable you need in the formula, but it's usually 1 or 2 steps away. And it's not really testing whether or not you can plug numbers into a formula. These plug and chug types of questions, it's not really what it's testing. It's whether or not you understand the variables that go into the formula. So the questions are usually structured such that you'll have 1 extra piece of information or you'll have 1 variable that's not quite in the form that you need. So what I want you to do when you're doing these mock exams is read slow. Read like you would normally read. It's not a race. The moment you start racing, here's what you're going to do. You're going to miss least likely, most likely, incorrect. Which one is incorrect? And you'll read them and you say, oh yeah, B. B sounds right. B is right. B is a correct statement, and you'll circle B. But it's not asking for what's correct. It's asking for what's incorrect. And as you're reading the answers, you might say, that really resonates with me. I know that's a right statement, and miss the fact that you're looking for something incorrect, or which is least likely, or which is most likely. Most likely is a good type of question to put 2 things that are true in there. One thing is true half the time, another thing is true almost all the time, and the question is asking for which is most likely to happen. Sure, B will happen. B is being known to happen under these conditions, but A almost always happens, right? So slow down. Speeding through everything is not reviewing, all right? Slow down. Same with question banks. You don't need 5,000 questions. You don't need 3,000 questions. You don't even need 2,000 questions. It's too much. It's not about quantity, it's about the quality that you're approaching the question with. Focus on quality. That means you're going to debrief each question, because you could get something right purely by chance. And when you get something wrong, find out why you got it wrong. I am almost certain that a lot of the questions that you get wrong is because you read it wrong. When you look at it, you go, why is that wrong? And you read, you go, oh, they're asking for least likely. And you answered most likely, which means that you have some knowledge, because you could recognize, if it was most likely, you recognized the answer. You knew the stuff. You just raced through it and you read it wrong. That if you debriefed what you were doing, you'd probably find that 10 or 15 points on any mock exam you lost because you didn't read the question right. So slow down. If you do get something wrong and you look at it, you go, I wouldn't have gotten that right anyways. Even if I had more time, I wouldn't have gotten it right. I didn't know it. Don't just leave it. All right? Don't leave it. Learn it right there on the spot. And what a good practice is when you're debriefing these questions is, imagine there's somebody sitting across the table from you saying, I don't get it. And you need to explain why the answer is the answer and why the other two are not. That is a great way to debrief. All right? And with that, you don't need 2,000 questions. If you can explain 500 to 1,000 questions, you're good. There are plenty of questions on the CFAI site. They give you mock exams. There are plenty of end of chapter questions, and don't ignore those blue box examples throughout the reading. There are plenty of those. You don't have to go digging around for more and more mock exams, more question banks. You don't have to line up 20 mock exams. The numbers that we have on our site, and because we've had level 1 mock exams online for a long period of time, that we notice that there is improvement between exam 1 and exam 2. There's improvement between 2 and 3. But the improvement starts to fall off between 3 and 4, and after that there's very little improvement, that the grade pretty much goes sideways after that. So there is a limit to which doing more and more questions isn't going to help you learn more. So focus on the quality of what you're doing, not on the quantity. Review your notes. Don't just do mock exams and question banks. Hit those review notes, because as you're reviewing, you'll say, oh, there was a question about this. Here it is. It's more relevant when you read something with questions in your head. So if I can give you a page of text, and I could say, read this, and I'm going to ask you a question. Or I can ask the question first, then tell you to read it. So if I had two groups of people, and in group 1, number 1, I said, read this, I'm going to ask you a question. Group number 2, I said, here's the question, go ahead and read this. Group 2 would have better answers, because they're reading for an answer. Things are more relevant when you're reading for an answer. So after you do a couple of mock exams and you do some Q banks, go back and review your notes. You'll be surprised at what jumps out at you, because you'll fill in those gaps that you had. If you're on my site and you have access to the review videos, which if you have a subscription you do, cycle through the review videos. When I do videos, I tend to talk slow and I tend to repeat a lot, because that's the essence of teaching, is repetition. I get told sometimes, you repeat the same thing often enough. And I say, well, give me an example of what I repeated. And they do. And I say, now do you get it? Ah, I get it now. There you go. That's why I repeat things, right? And I'm just about to repeat what I'm about to repeat again. Anyways, so yeah, focus on that. Use your review notes. Cycle through the review videos. You can listen to them at 1.5 times speed. Again, I talk slow and I repeat things. So if you watch at 1.5 times speed, you're not going to lose the understanding. It should not be you learning in the review videos. It should be you remembering. Oh yeah, I remember that now. I remember this. Here's a really powerful one that I think gets thrown out and discarded a lot. Topic discussions. Answer other candidates' questions. If you're eager to find more questions, I need more and more questions. These are all free. Go to Reddit. Thousands of questions are asked every day. I think there's some 80,000, 90,000 CFA candidates on Reddit. It is the largest collection of CFA candidates out there. Don't you want to know what they're talking about? Right? They're going to be sitting in front of a recruiter one day, and you may be sitting in front of that same recruiter. Don't you want to at least know what they're talking about, what they were doing? So head over to Reddit if you're not already subscribed to Reddit. It is a valuable resource. I guarantee you, if you're stuck on some issue or some question or some chapter, if you go to Reddit and ask that question, I guarantee you your question has been asked and answered several times. And there are not just candidates on Reddit. There are full charter holders who like to give back to the community and are on there answering other people. It gives them a sense of community to mentor and to help other people. So answer other candidates' questions. Go to Reddit. If you are on our site, under every video we have, there's a candidate forum. Lots of unanswered questions there. You will never learn more than when you teach somebody else, which is why when I say when you're debriefing each question, imagine that you have to explain it to somebody sitting across a table who says, I don't get it. If you can successfully teach somebody who doesn't know it, then you know it. If you don't know it, then you can't teach it. If you can answer questions on these forums, these open answers, that it's not just A, B, or C, but you must actually explain it. It's a powerful learning tool. You'll be surprised at how much you don't know that you thought you knew when you start answering questions. Okay, let's look at some of the other windows here. So if you're registered for November, 139 days, it's still quite a ways away. You should have already started on this, so many of you are already well on your way into this. A lot of you who are probably writing in November are deferred candidates anyways, and you've got probably several years of preparation behind you at this point. If you haven't started, start now. Don't underestimate the size of the content. 57 readings, an average of about 45 pages per reading, and some of it kind of dense. Some readings are up to 100 pages, some are short as 20 pages, but it's no walk in the park. It is big. So don't underestimate the size of the content. If you think, oh, I can get this done in about 5 or 6 weeks, I've crammed for exams before. No, just do me a favor, at least look at it. Skim through all that you have to read, just look at it, just get an idea of the size of it. Take off 28 days for you, that's 111 days for content, roughly about 15 and a half weeks. With 57 readings, you're a little under 4 readings per week. That is a brutal pace. It can be done. I mean, when you think about a semester in university, if you had anywhere from 3 to 5 classes, depending on what type of school you went to, whether you had a 3-course semester or 5 courses, you were in each course you were covering 1 or 2 readings per week, so you were probably doing anywhere from 4 to 6 to 7 readings, chapter readings every week anyways. But you were doing that full time. If you're not doing this full time, if you have a job and you have to do this part time, well, it's a full-time academic job and a full-time practitioner job. You know, you got to watch that calendar. That is a pretty rough pace, 3 3/4 readings per week. And listen, it's not about getting past level 1. It's not about getting by, because you got to set yourself up for level 2, and then you got to set yourself up for level 3. And there are callbacks in level 2 to level 1 content that's not repeated. You're just expected to know. And same at level 3. There are callbacks all the way to level 1 that you're just expected to know this stuff now. It's not going to reteach it at level 3 or level 2. So the better the foundation you build at level 1, the better you set yourself up for level 2. So don't have a strategy of just getting by. It's like if you've ever played billiards, there are some people who play the shot they have, and they don't think about the next shot. They don't place their cue ball on the table to line themselves up for the next shot. They typically don't win, because unless they have a shot that they can take, well, then it's over. But a good pool player will say, okay, this is my shot. I can see my shot here, but where do I want my cue ball to end up so that I have my next shot already lined up? This is like level 1. You want to line up your next shot, which is level 2. So don't just approach level 1 with this, I can get it done. It's not a big deal. I'll get by, I'll pass, and I'll be good. It's not about passing level 1. None of this is about passing level 1. It's about passing level 3, because you can't get the charter unless you pass level 3. So you are at all times preparing for a level 3 exam. not a level 1 exam. Level 1's just something you got to get through. But you're preparing for a level 3 exam. And to be truly brutally honest here, you're not just preparing for a level 3 exam, you're preparing to be successful in your career. And if you've seen my applied series, in that series, it's on YouTube, I take concepts from the reading and I apply them directly in the market, right straight out of the reading. No modification, no nothing. I don't know that you're going to get a better aggregation of real practical knowledge that the world works the way it works in these books. Now, of course, the books are a generalist view of it. It's a very simplified view, but it's real. So embrace the content, so it's nothing you're trying to just get by on. So, if you, again, to get back to my point, if you're working full time, 3 3/4 readings per week is a brutal pace to maintain in your off hours. If you're doing this full time, if you're studying for this full time, yeah, it's quite a bit of time. There is a study planner on our site. It's free. And it already is programmed with a recommended sequence that I would follow. Quant being first because it forms the basis of some of the other sections that you see. You have a good understanding of quant, you're going to understand fixed income, you're going to understand derivatives because they really deal with a lot of time value of money and a lot of discounting. So if you understand the first few readings in quant, those readings mathematically, I shouldn't even say it's math, arithmetically become less challenging. So on our site, we do have the free side. You can register for free, and the complete level 1 from 2017 is there. The overlap between 2017 and 2021 is about 75 to 80%. When you're on the free side, under each video is a comparison between 2017 and 2021 about what's new and what has changed. So if you just want to access something without having to put out any money, we do offer that. So it is there, and the study planner is free. For any section that you are having trouble with, maybe you don't need help with all of level 1, you just need a particular section. Each section we have is 31.50 Canadian, and I think the exchange rate is about $1.23 now, so $1 US gets $1.23 Canadian, so you divide this by 1.23, I think you're around $26 US for a whole section. So FRA has 12 readings. Well, it's $26 US. You're going to get videos for each of the readings. I walk through all of the end of chapter questions as well in a video, explaining why the answer is the answer, why the other two are not. There's a question bank for each reading with anywhere from 50 to 100 questions per reading in the question bank. But again, you don't need that many questions, but they're there. And then there's review videos for each of the readings as well, along with all the candidate forums under the video. If you stick around to the end of this reading, I will explain why I price things the way I price things. We do follow a particular objective in our pricing, and if you are going to subscribe to our site, you should be aware of how we approach it and why we've chosen the pricing that we have. Okay, that screen is done. Okay, let's talk about the 2022 level 1 content. For 2021, there were 57 readings. Well, you're not so lucky. You got 60 readings. And I think that, honestly, the 2022 content, in the way that the readings are done, is a step up from 2021. They seem to be far more to the point, far more informative, I find. And the quant section, I think, is done beautifully. They introduce some R programming, some Python programming of how to do certain things in R and Python, and a lot of the Excel commands for finding the area under the curve in a normal probability distribution, for the F distribution. If you're finding all your critical values, I think that's far more relevant than using tables, lookup tables, and using calculators, is to actually use what you're going to use in the real world. So I'm more than thrilled about the changes that were made in the content for 2022. Really exciting stuff. Even though the R code and the Python code is given, I don't think it's testable. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. It's just given, which is nice. So if you're playing around with R or with Python, well, there you have segments of code already given to you. So listen, February, take 28 days off for review. You have 202 days to prepare for February. That's 2 readings a week. That's a nice pace. That's a great pace on which to build a solid foundation. You're not racing through the content. It's a pace that you can maintain, because listen, when you try to do these really wicked timetables where you're busy every single minute of the day, you will crash. You get to a point where your brain just says, that's enough. You're jumping from task to task to task. You're keeping me busy 16 hours a day. I quit. Either feed me a movie right now or that's it. We're done. So your brain will stop on you. If you're looking for May, you got 5 days per reading, which is a lot of time. Yeah, you don't need that much time. There is such a thing as having too much time. Because some of the earlier stuff you learn gets very, very stale, and you spend so much time reviewing just to try to keep it current. There is something to say about, look, let's have a reasonable amount of time, but a short enough period of time so that everything doesn't decay in my mind. And again, if you're using the YouTube free content from 2017 to 2022, the overlap is down to about 60%. For 2021, it's about 75 to 80%. But because there have been so many neat little changes throughout level 2 and some new readings added, the overlap's about 60%. Listen, you've all been through university. You've all been through courses. I don't have to tell you how to read. I don't have to tell you how to study. What's different about CFA here is it's big and it's self-study. So sometimes you can feel lost, like you're floundering around when you have a syllabus from your professor. It tells you what the readings are. It tells you what readings you need to read before class. It tells you the topics that you'll be taking up in that class. You know when your assignments are due. You get to build your grade from a number of different deliverables. Well, with this, it's one exam, do or die, and no one is keeping attendance. No one is there to keep you honest except yourself. So sometimes that lack of structure makes it seem like it's so much different than what you did in university, but it's nothing different than what you did in university. Imagine doing the same thing you did every semester, except you didn't have a syllabus. You had to write your own syllabus. That's the only difference, really. And then you just showed up when you had to show up, right? To add some structure, to give you, to make it sort of easy when you approach a reading, here's a good strategy to follow. Watch the review video first. Because the review video goes through every LOS and gives you the highlights of what's going on in that reading. So you get a very high level view of what's going on in that reading. And it gives you the structure of the reading, so that as you're going through the reading, it doesn't feel like a new topic just keeps hitting you every 8 or 9 minutes. Well, what's this now? How come we're doing this? This is a new one. And how you can get overwhelmed by this new topic after new topic after new topic in the same reading. But if you take a higher level view, you may say, well, those are not different topics. They're all just variations of the same theme. I get it now. I see what's going on. So watch the review video first. Most review videos are 15 or 20 minutes. Watch them at 1.5 times speed. Get a high level view of the reading. You may watch a review video and go, I've seen all this before. I've done a course on this. I've seen all this before. Great. You could probably race right through the reading video itself and feel fairly confident. So watch the review video first, then head to the reading video. There are PDFs. Print out your PDFs and then add your own notes. If you're wondering what the PDF's for, see what you see on this screen here? That's what the PDF is. It's meant to save you time from hitting pause and writing down your own notes of exactly what's already written on the screen. And the PDFs are done in such a way that there's plenty of white space on them. And as you're watching the video, don't just look at the PDF, underline, maybe make a note, make a small note, right? There we go. Good. I get that. Add some context to yourself. Be active with them. They are designed to save you time by replicating what's on the screen, but they're in no way meant to be a finished, complete product that here you go, this is all you need, off you go. You must interact with them. Circle things, underline things, add your own understanding, add your own interpretation, say things in your own words. But you'll find that using the PDFs that already have what's written on the screen down on paper in front of you saves you considerable amount of time from hitting pause and writing words on the screen, that are already on the screen. So that's what they're there for. So print out the PDFs, add your own notes as you're going through the reading video. Once you're done that, take the day off, take the night off. I wouldn't hit the end of chapter questions right away. It's not a fair test. Wait a day. Let it sink in. Think through what you saw. The next day, cycle through the review video first, then hit the end of chapter questions. The review video will start to put a whole bunch of structure into place for you. Hit the end of chapter questions. And then grade yourself. See how you've done. If you need more help with the end of chapter questions, there is an end of chapter question video for you. We find that the viewership on the end of chapter question videos is not as high as the viewership on the review videos and the reading videos, because there are some readings that when you answer the end of chapter question videos, you say, I get this. You don't need me. You don't need to listen to me explain it. There's not much more value you're going to get out of that. But if you get to a particular challenging reading where you go, I don't understand why we're doing this or why we're doing that, going through that will help. What I do not recommend is watching the review video and then immediately watching the end of chapter question video, because you're going to be asking, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Because you haven't filled in all the holes. You should not be asking that many questions in the end of chapter question video. You should work through them yourself first. You should not use the videos as your first pass for it. Watch the review video. Get a high-level view of what we're going to do. Watch the reading video. The next day, watch the review video. Watch it in the next day. It might take you 2 days to get through the reading video because you're going slow. But after you're finished, the very next day, watch a review video. Then attempt the end of chapter questions on your own. And then if you need to, watch the end of chapter question videos. And this is, if you're looking for February and May. Again, we have the study planner on the site. It has a recommended sequence. Yes, it is the same sequence I would recommend that I've been recommending for every single year. Even though the content has changed in some places and new readings are added, I don't have a different recommended sequence. But you can change the sequence in the planner if you want to change the sequence. I'll have more to say about 2022 in a separate video. But it won't be up today. I have learned that if I upload 5-6 videos in a day, I end up losing a whole bunch of people because they just don't watch it. So if I put up one video every second day, it's more relevant for what you're looking for. So if you're thinking about 2022, you still have plenty of time to register for 2022. I think it's all the way into September. It's early registration right now. So if you are going to do 2022, it's the cheapest right now. There's no point in waiting, saying, oh, I'll wait, and I'll sign up later on. If you think it's something you're going to do, register now. You don't have to start now, but you can register now. One more screen. All right, on this last screen, I'm going to talk to you about our decision of the price that we've chosen. We've been told many, many times that we could easily charge more, and we are well aware of that. Not charging more is a conscious decision that we make. It's in line with the way that we want to operate and with our philosophy of the role that business has to play, or that business should be playing. And I'm going to show you a lot more about what we do, just so that you know that what I'm about to tell you are not just words that I say, but we actually practice it, we actually live it. We have one mission statement, which is very, very simple. It's 3 words. When I see mission statements that are, paragraphs long, I think, okay, I don't think you really understand what it is you're doing. Ours is simple: deliver overwhelming value. We want every candidate walking away thinking, holy Jesus, I got the better part of that deal by a landslide. Excellent. That's exactly what we want. Our pricing is not based on the value you extract. Our pricing is cost plus. It's based on how much it costs us to get it to you. My belief is that knowledge is free. Knowledge is out there everywhere. It's in a whole bunch of books everywhere. Knowledge is free. Delivery has costs. I'm charging for the delivery of the knowledge that we are producing. It's not our knowledge. by the way, we follow the CFAI books very, very closely. We didn't write those books. We did not create that knowledge. We didn't publish those books. We didn't edit those books. We're simply helping you by guiding you through some of the more complex stuff in those readings. And this is what we're doing. So our pricing is cost plus. My philosophy of business, or at least the role of business, at least the way that I want to do it, is what's called compassionate capitalism. You don't need socialism. You know, some people say capitalism is broken, let's bring in socialism. No, you don't need socialism. You just need a different form of capitalism. But capitalism is the best allocator of capital and resources out there. It's the best motivator for giving you choice in the market. Without capitalism, you lose choice. But you don't have to have a dog-eat-dog form of capitalism. You can have a very compassionate form of capitalism and still make a living. You don't have to be a billionaire. You don't have to be a multimillionaire. You don't have to make hundreds of millions of dollars. You don't have to charge every candidate who walks through the door $1,500 to deliver something that costs you $200 to deliver. You don't have to do that. So compassionate capitalism, and again, I'm going to show you some things that we do so that you can see that it's not just a marketing message that we say, oh, this is what we do, and it's just to virtue signal. I'm going to show you that we do it. So what does it mean? Well, for the candidate, we have accessible pricing so that your access to the content is not directly tied to your level of wealth. Yes, there is a cost. Unfortunately, there is a cost. Unless you can speak with Amazon and get them to give us, server time for free, if you can speak to my landlord and get them to give me rent for free, if you can speak to all my employees and get them to work for me for free, if you can speak to our internet service provider, the people who clean our office, all of our suppliers, and get them to give it to us for free, yes, there is a cost. But we've made the cost as extremely accessible as possible. So for example, level 1 is 315 Canadian dollars. And level 1 breaks down into 10 sections, so we just divided it by 10 and we get to $31.50 per section. Now some places like to say, well, if you're only buying one section, it's $60. To sort of force you to saying, well, it's worth it, the value is in buying the whole thing. Why should I buy each section? I call that punishment pricing. You're being punished because you only wanted a part of what I had, not all of it. So if you only want 1/10 of what I got, you pay 1/10 of the price. It is accessible pricing. It democratizes access to education, and it doesn't have to do with the size of your bank account. It has to do with the size of your will to get things done, to want to do this. But that you find that there are sections where you're going to have trouble with. That's the thing with self-study. That's what we're here for. Also, we have a 1 fee to pass on all items that you buy. If you buy one section, it is 1 fee to pass. So if you buy one section and you don't make it past a level 1 exam, you don't have to pay for it again. We'll extend you to the next exam that you're registered. So you only pay for level 1 once until you pass. That is compassionate. To make the pricing as accessible as possible, to try to remove as much as possible the idea that if you have money, you can afford the better services. This makes it even and sort of level for everyone. It's not just the way that we think we want to treat candidates in terms of accessibility, but the way we treat employees as well. We pay a living wage. I'll show you the website in a second. We are certified. There is a body in an external body in our province in Ontario that does certify businesses. They check. You can't just say you pay a living wage. They do a check on you. Do you do this? Do you do that? So it's like a mini audit, and then they certify you as paying a living wage. So not only do we pay a living wage, I pay bonuses every year, anywhere from 10 to 15% of whatever base salary you have. And again, that base salary is a living wage. I also match on pension, and that increases each year. Not each year, but after a certain number of years, then each year there's an increase in how much is being matched, because I think it's important that you start planning for the future regardless of what age that you're at. And if you want to put something away for retirement, I will match it to encourage you, right? I also pay all tuition for any staff that wants to go to school, take a course, attend a seminar, attend a conference, a workshop, anything. I will pay for it. It doesn't have to be related to what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be finance related. It doesn't have to be IT related. It doesn't have to be HR related. You can say, I want to learn Chinese. I'll pay. I will pay for it. I'll pay for all human capital development. That's part of being compassionate. And of course, we have full benefits package. Even though we're in a province that has free health care, dental care is not free, eye care is not free, prescriptions are not free. So we pay every month. We pay for benefits, health plan benefits for all the employees. That after you've been with us for, I think it's 6 months, you get full benefits. Also, there is how we treat our community that we're in. And we have a very generous gifting program where we give money away every year. And we'll go through some of the things that we do. Some of the things that we do are meant and targeted towards individuals who are at present in a disadvantaged position. So we help with that, and we also support the local university and students at the local university here. So let me show you the site. If you're already on our site, on the left menu, you'll see something called jelly beans, and the first menu item is social initiatives. Okay, left menu, go down to jelly beans. There it is, social initiatives, and it'll give you all of the things that we do. Ontario Living Wage Network, we're a part of that. Women in Business Association, we were nominated for an award. That's all down here. This here talks about what we do at Christmas time. We've done this for a number of years now. We get shopping lists from families who are otherwise may not be able to enjoy a Christmas. And we get them everything on their wish list. And our budget is $600 to $800 per family. And my thinking is, at least once a year, that they should get exactly what they want, and be able, the kids especially, be able to hang out with the other kids that they're friends with, and be proud and say, I got this and I got that, and be able to match their peers. I know how important that is as a kid. When you go over to somebody else's house and they got all these great things, but you didn't. I didn't grow up in a wealthy family. So I know how that feels. Well, if I can eliminate that for a number of kids every single year, well, good. So we do that. I think last year we did 11 families. We look to increase it every single year. And what I do, I don't go to the mall, by the way. I'll pay for it, but you're not getting me in a mall at Christmas time at all. But I give the staff, all of our staff, the day off. With pay, I pay for it, and they all go shopping. They all get in their vehicles and they all go shopping, and then they'll meet up somewhere for lunch. I'll pay for their lunch. Again, I'm not showing up. I am getting nowhere near a mall. I'll be a Scrooge on that part. So it's not just the buying of the gifts. I give the whole staff the day off. I pay their wages for the day. They don't lose any income. But yeah, they got to put up with them all. So, for me, if somebody did that to me, I'd say, well, what'd I ever do to you? Why are you sending me to a mall? But they love it. Here is the discussion of the business that gives back category. We were nominated for award for some of the things that we do. Here are some of the things that we do. We gave a donation to Jillian's Place. You can read more about what that means and what Jillian's Place is. $30,000 there. Community care, which looks after and provides a good food program for individuals who simply just can't make ends meet. We gave $15,000 there. Humane Society, we give to Humane Society as well. Back to school, we buy backpacks for disadvantaged children. I hate using the word disadvantaged, but children who are in a situation through no fault of their own. We do this. We'll buy them backpacks, and then we fill it with a whole bunch of stuff. I think it's like $200 to $300 for putting whatever we put in the backpack. Chromebooks for online education. I think last year we sponsored, was it 9 or 10 of these for students, younger students going back to school who simply can't afford to have this. But in today's world, if you're in grade school, this is grade 1, 2, 3, and you don't have electronic devices, you don't have internet capable devices, you're at a huge disadvantage. So we can't save the world, but we save as much as we can. Hospice Christmas dinner, that one went by rather quickly. Let's see if I can get that back. At the very end here, we buy, or at least we subsidize or help pay for the meal for that one. Here is Ontario Living Wage. You can see we're certified living wage employer. It puts our name here. This we've been through what it means to do that. If you want to visit the website to get a better idea of what it means to be to pay a living wage off, you can click on there and head there. I know some of you are probably maybe shocked at that, because I have done a video before where I was laying out an argument against a higher minimum wage. I do what I do because I want to do it. However, if I were legislated to do this, I'd have a big problem with that. I do it because I want to. I do it because I have a feeling that it's the right thing, but I certainly would not do it if I was coerced into doing it. I don't like legislation telling me to be a good person. I can be a good person. So, even though I might have some views that some of you think aren't very liberal or inclusive, those are more philosophies. I don't live my days like that. So there we are on this one, and we do support education. We hire co-op students, and we I think of the co-ops that we do hire, of all of the companies at Brock that are pulling in co-ops, we pay the highest of them. And there are some large companies that are recruiting on campus and paying them, just slightly over minimum wage, which we think is, you're a large company, you can afford to pay them more. And you're investing in their education. They use these co-op funds to then pay for their next semester. Come on, dig a little deep. So they also qualify under that living wage. When we say that we pay a living wage, we don't go cheap on the co-ops just because we can. And we can, because we are teaching them at the same time. We are mentoring them at the same time, so we can make the argument that, look, we're already giving you so much, we don't have to give you that much money. No. Pay them. Pay them the same that you would pay any other staff member. So we do that, and we'll continue to do that, 1 or 2 every semester, if they're available. With the pandemic, they haven't been available for a while. Now, I want you to think about something. Look at the price that we charge, and we can still do all of this. We can still pay a living wage. We can still be a good member in our community. We can provide candidates with accessible pricing. Do I really need to charge $1,500? If I can do all of this with what we charge, what do you think is going on when somebody wants to charge you $1,300 or $1,500? I know how much it costs to get this done, and I think that we probably deliver more in content, in the quality of the content, than most of our competitors do. So I know how much it costs to get done, and we can still do all of this. So let's just click on pricing and subscriptions here. Let's just look at level 1, and we'll click on 2021. The 2022 packages are the same thing, 315 Canadian. You get all 10 sections, reading videos, end of chapter question videos, seminar videos. Yeah, I do seminars, which are really difficult topics. I break down into smaller, I just spend more time with each one. The lecture PDF notes, which are the screenshots, you can ask me questions. You can't ask me hundreds of questions, but you can ask me some questions and I answer them. We have question bank, mock exams, formula sheet. Once you buy this section and you move on to level 2, the reading videos archive so that you can reference back to them. They don't just disappear. We hold an archive for you. And we have an app that you can download. It's free. You can download, and if you have a subscription, you can download the videos into the app for offline viewing. This is accessible pricing. This opens the door to candidates that otherwise may not have been able to afford a provider, who have the same ability as somebody else, but not the same bank account. That's what I mean by compassionate capitalism. So if you look at our price and you say, well, it's a low price, it must be low quality, I challenge you to do 2 things. Number 1, buy 1 section. Try it out. Try it out. I guarantee you'll buy another section. And if you really want to know what we're all about. There's some free content on YouTube. All of Level 1 from 2017 is there. And if that still is not enough and you want to get other people's opinion about us, go to LinkedIn or go to Reddit and post a question. Is this stuff worth it? We don't comment on any of that kind of stuff, but other people are out there. Plenty of other candidates have used us, and we'll let them say how they feel. We've not, since day one, spent a penny in advertising, nor will we, because if we spend a penny in advertising, well, then we have to raise our price and make you pay for the advertising that we spent just to get you to pay us. We don't think that that's a good idea. We think if you deliver overwhelming value, people will talk about it, and that is all that we need in terms of marketing and advertising is word of mouth. It's the best form. Anyways, I've probably taken way too much of your time. That's it. I'll put out some other videos throughout the week, and a surprise here. This may you may like this. I think there's an applied series coming out in the next week or so, which will include what I think my year-end forecast for the market is. The S&P. When I say the market, I think the S&P. So there we are.